Why do we spend our youth chasing everything, only to spend old age wishing we had let go sooner? The world rewards effort. The Dharma rewards awareness. They told you to build, to strive, to run faster, to be someone. But no one told you the truth, that the deeper wisdom of life begins, not in adding more, but in learning how to let go. You see, the great freedom, the kind the Buddha spoke of, doesn't come from holding tighter. It comes from releasing what was never yours to begin with. And what I'm about to share with you isn't something you'll find in books, nor from the mouths of the young. It's something you feel only when the noise fades, and the soul is finally ready to listen. Stop caring what others think of you. There is no cage more invisible, and no burden more silent, than the constant need to be liked. From our earliest days, we are shaped by a world that whispers, be good, be agreeable, be admired. And so, we contort ourselves. We mold our voices, our opinions, even our dreams, just to avoid the sting of disapproval. We learn to live not as ourselves, but as what others expect us to be. But with each small compromise, we drift further from the shore of our true nature, until one day, we forget what it feels like to stand in the quiet joy of being fully, unapologetically, ourselves. And here's the sacred truth. The moment you stop caring what others think of you, is the moment you return home to yourself. It's not defiance. It's not arrogance. It's liberation. When you no longer look over your shoulder, measuring your worth by the gaze of others, your soul breathes freely. You no longer rehearse your words for approval. You no longer twist your truths into palatable shapes. You speak what is real. You choose what is true. You live what is yours. Think about how many moments of joy we postponed because someone might disapprove. How many dreams we buried under layers of what will they say? And for what? Approval is fleeting. It changes with mood, with trend, with time. And yet, we trade our freedom for it. Buddhism gently reminds us, what others think is none of your business. Their opinions, born of their own fears, their traumas, their perceptions, say more about them than they ever could about you. When we stop chasing validation, we begin to hear a far more powerful voice, our own. And something beautiful happens. You start attracting people who love you, as you are. Not for your performance, not for your perfection, but for your presence. And those who don't, they fall away. Like autumn leaves, quietly, naturally, as they were never meant to remain. So rest now. Unburden your spirit from the exhausting weight of performance. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be whole. Stop wasting energy on arguments and drama. There comes a point in life when the noise of the world no longer pulls you in. You've argued enough. You've explained enough. You've tried so many times to be understood by those who were never ready to listen. And finally, you see it clearly. Some battles are not meant to be fought. Some words are better left unspoken. Some peace is found not in saying more, but in walking away. In youth, we believe truth must always be spoken, that silence is weakness. But with age, we learn a softer wisdom. Not every opinion requires our rebuttal. Not every disagreement deserves our energy. People do not cling to logic. They cling to identity. To argue with a hardened belief is to shake the very foundation of how someone sees themselves. And most minds, no matter how open they claim to be, are not ready for such an earthquake. So why spend your precious energy Trying to move an immovable mountain? Imagine a still, clear lake. Now picture someone throwing a stone into it. An insult. A provocation. A challenge. What happens if the lake remains still? Nothing. The stone sinks. The ripples fade. The peace endures. You can be that lake. You do not have to attend every argument you're invited to. You do not need to explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You do not have to prove your wisdom to those who are only listening to reply. To say I understand your view and offer no resistance is not surrender. It is transcendence. Silence is not absence. Silence is presence in its most powerful form. Let them rant. Let them gossip. Let them twist your name into shapes you wouldn't recognize. You remain untouched. Because your peace no longer depends on their understanding. Peace is not found in being right. Peace is found in being free. And if ever you wonder whether to respond or to retreat, ask yourself this: will this preserve my peace or disturb it? If the answer is the latter, you already know what to do. Leave the noise to echo in its own emptiness, and return to the sanctuary of your own stillness. Stop trying to fix everyone's problems. There is a sacred difference between helping and rescuing, between supporting and saving, between walking beside someone and carrying them on your back until you collapse. So many of us, perhaps for decades, have worn the invisible cloak of the caretaker. We rush to soothe every sorrow, patch every broken piece, answer every midnight call for help. We believe it is love. We believe it is duty. But often, it is a quiet form of self-neglect, disguised as compassion. We forget. Healing is not something you can do for another person. Growth is not something you can give. It must be claimed. Through struggle. Through falling. Through learning to stand back up again. The butterfly must wrestle its way out of the cocoon. It is this very effort that strengthens its wings for flight. If we help it too much, if we tear the cocoon open for it, its wings remain weak. It may never fly. And so too with people. When we take on their pain, their decisions, their battles, we may rob them of their becoming. Not because we don't care, but because we cared too much. There is wisdom in knowing when to step back, to be a hand reaching out, but not a body drowning with them, to be a voice of clarity, but not a mouth that speaks over their silence. You can extend a branch without jumping into the current. This is not coldness. This is not selfishness. This is sacred boundaries. This is the art of letting others live their own sacred journeys, even when they stumble. And yes, you will want to jump in. You will ache to fix it. But pause. Ask yourself, is this mine to carry? Because you, too, have a life to live, a peace to preserve, a heart to protect. Your purpose is not to be burned to ashes, keeping everyone warm. You were never meant to be the hero in everyone's story. Sometimes, the greatest gift you can give is your calm, your presence, your belief that they are strong enough to find their own way. Stop chasing perfection and let go of regret. Perfection is a shadow that dances just out of reach. The closer we chase it, the further it seems. It promises fulfillment, but delivers exhaustion. In our younger years, we feared the cracks. We feared the stumble, the awkward moment, the flaw in the mirror. We wanted to be flawless, believing that only then would we be loved, respected, worthy. But we were mistaken. because in time, we come to understand. It is the cracks that let the light in. It is our mistakes that shaped us more than any success ever could. It is the scars, not the smoothness, that make our stories real. Regret is a heavy chain. It tethers us to moments long gone. It whispers, "You should have." It shouts, "If only." But the past does not live here anymore. And neither should we. Every wrong turn led somewhere. Every failure carved out a space inside us that could hold more compassion, more wisdom, more humility. Would you erase every mistake if it meant losing the lessons? Would you trade every heartbreak if it meant your heart never learned how to love deeply again? Probably not. Because who you are now was forged in those fires. So let the regrets go. Not because your past was perfect, but because you are not your past. You are the one who survived it, who learned, who grew. Buddhism teaches, do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. Because here right now is the only place where peace lives. And so today, instead of mourning who you were, honor who you've become. Breathe in the imperfection. Let it soften you. Let it humanize you. Let it free you. You were never meant to be perfect. You were only ever meant to be whole. Stop hoarding unnecessary material things. The more you gather, the more you carry. And the more you carry, the less you feel like yourself. You become weighed down, not just by objects, but by memories, by meanings, by versions of the person you used to be. Every drawer that won't close, every shelf that sags, every closet packed with forgotten things, they all whisper a quiet truth. You are holding on to too much. We collect in the name of comfort, in the name of security. We hold on to items just in case, as if preparing for a life that's already passed us by. We confuse abundance with stability, possessions with protection. But the truth is simple, and quietly revolutionary. You don't need more to feel whole. You only need less with meaning, less with intention, less that you actually use, love, or need. Think of the Buddhist monk, walking the earth with nothing but a robe and a bowl. He owns nothing, yet lacks nothing. He carries no weight, but walks with great presence. Why? Because freedom is not in owning. It's in releasing. Each object you let go of is not a loss. It's a return. A return of space, of clarity, of energy. And yes, some things are hard to part with. Gifts from loved ones now gone. Mementos from times you fear forgetting. But ask yourself, is this object holding love? Or is it holding you back? Does it help you live? Or help you linger? We do not live in the past. We live here, now. And the now needs room to breathe. Let go of what no longer reflects who you are. Donate. Give away. Pass down. Release with gratitude. And as each thing leaves, you'll begin to feel lighter. Not just in your home, but in your soul. To live simply is to live fully. Not cluttered. Not suffocated. But clear. Clear enough to feel the breeze in a quiet room. Clear enough to hear your own heart again. Freedom is not found in storage. It's found in stillness. Don't try to please everyone. There is a kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from physical labor, but from constantly trying to be who everyone else needs you to be. You smile, even when your heart aches. You nod along, even when your soul screams no. You twist and shrink, and soften the edges of yourself, just to keep the peace. But that kind of peace, It is a peace built on silence and self-erasure. For years, maybe for a lifetime, you've played the peacemaker, the caregiver, the one who always shows up, always says yes, always puts others first. But now is the time to ask, what if you stopped? What if you stopped bending? Stopped explaining? Stopped pleasing? Would the world end? No. But your suffering just might. There is a sacred boundary that only the wise protect. The boundary between kindness and self-betrayal. You are allowed to say no, without justification, without guilt. You are allowed to disappoint people, not because you don't care, but because you finally care about yourself. The people who truly love you won't ask you to disappear in order to stay close. They won't punish you for speaking your truth. They won't love you on the condition that you keep them comfortable. Let go of the rest. With gentleness, with love. Let them walk their own path, while you finally walk yours. You were never meant to carry the approval of the world. You were meant to carry the light of your own soul, and it shines brightest when you stop covering it up to make others more at ease. This is your time to step out from the shadow of expectation, to stop editing your joy, to stop apologizing for your needs, to stop waiting for permission to live. You were not born to be everyone's favorite. You were born to be free. Don't rush through life. Life is not something to conquer. It is not a ladder to climb. It is not a checklist to complete. And it certainly is not a race. There is no trophy at the end for the one who rushed the fastest. No medal for missing the sunrise, because you were too busy chasing something else. Joy does not wait at the finish line. It lives quietly, in the pause between steps, in the breath before the next word, in the space between two heartbeats. But from the time we are children, we are taught to hurry. Hurry up and grow. Hurry up and succeed. Hurry up and make something of yourself. And in all this rushing, we forget how to simply be. We drink our tea while checking our phones. We walk without seeing. We speak without listening. We live without feeling. But life, real life, is not found in speed. It is found in slowness, in presence, in the sacred stillness of an ordinary moment, fully lived. Slow is not lazy. Slow is deep. Slow is the way the wind brushes against your cheek, the way rain falls softly on rooftops, like a lullaby, the way the scent of jasmine lingers in the warm night air. When you walk, feel the ground greet your feet. When you speak, let your voice carry warmth, not urgency. When you love, do it like there's no clock, because time, when lived slowly, becomes eternal. Pause longer than necessary. Watch the candle flicker. Let the music play, without skipping. Take the long road home, not because it's efficient, but because it's beautiful. The purpose of life is not to reach the end. It is to feel every inch of the path under your feet, to touch each moment as if it were a petal in your palm, to know not just that you lived, but that you were here, fully, softly, slowly. Stop worrying about the future. Worry is a quiet thief. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It wraps around your thoughts at night, like vines, pulling you into questions without answers, shadows without shape. You sit in the rocking chair of your mind, moving endlessly, going nowhere. You try to plan, to predict, to control, But life has never listened to your plans. It unfolds in its own mysterious rhythm, not to hurt you, but to awaken you. Will the illness come? Will the money last? Will the people you love remain? Perhaps. Perhaps not. But those stories do not live here. They live in the land of not yet. What lives here? What lives now? Is this breath? This gentle inhale? This soft exhale? The warmth of sunlight spilling across your room? The quiet hum of life that surrounds you, always waiting to be noticed? Buddhism reminds us, you lose only what you cling to. So let go. Not because you're careless, but because you're finally wise enough to know. Worry does not protect you. It only robs you of peace. Imagine your fears as leaves on a stream. Acknowledge them. Then watch them drift away. Softly. Without resistance. They are not you. They are not your future. They are simply passing clouds in the sky of your awareness. And where do you return to now? To the warmth of your hands. To the calm rhythm of your heartbeat. To gratitude for what is. Because where gratitude lives, fear cannot stay. Gratitude is the doorway to trust. And trust says, I don't know what's coming, but I know I'll meet it with grace. I don't have all the answers, but I have this breath, and it is enough. I don't know the ending, but I am here, and I am alive. And when tomorrow arrives, if it arrives, it will come, not as a threat, but as another chance to love, to pause, to be. So rest, gentle soul. Unclench your mind. Let life carry you, not in fear, but in faith. So perhaps you've done enough, struggled enough, proved enough, chased enough. Maybe now is the time to stop running, to stop becoming, and start simply being. Let the world rush. Let others chase you. You've earned the right to walk slowly, to breathe fully, to live gently, with the quiet knowing that you have already become enough. Not when you finish something, not when you fix everything, but here, now, as you are. And if these words found you in a moment you needed them, then trust. This is not the end. It's the beginning of a softer, wiser way of living. Subscribe to Whisper of Age. Not just to listen, but to remember what the world has made you forget. That you are not alone. That peace is still possible. And that sometimes a whisper from the soul is louder than all the noise in the world.